Namato Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zim, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Sunday, the 8th of November 2020, and this is Ajahn Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. As usual, I'm here with you all, and thank you everyone for joining me and listening this reflection or a Dhamma talk on this Facebook Live. And thank you, Margaret, Manish, and everyone. And first of all, I would like to apologize for yesterday's talk and a guided meditation. Eroni Malama. And that's due to a sudden decision that I took and went for a walk for all day. And I was expecting that I would got back by 6:30 and then will text saying that I would not be able to give a talk. But unfortunately, by the time when we arrived at the car park, it was 6:30 and there was no telephone signals. So by the time I got the telephone signals, it was already after 7:30. So then it was too late. That's why I didn't text saying that there is no talks and no guided meditation last night. So apologies. And that's in a way, normally in the past, ever since I came to Aberdeen since 2012, I normally go away in the mountains in Scotland a couple of times a year, sometimes with a group and other times alone, wandering in the mountains for a couple of days. The longest walk and days I have been in the mountains in Scotland was a 3 days continual walk. And so walking from Braemar to Aviemore, and then from Aviemore coming back to Braemar very next day. So that was the longest walk I have done alone without no food. So I didn't have a food at that time, so only some oat bars that I bought on the way back from Aviemore, and it was shocking wet, and all the clothes were such and wet because of the heavy rain. And that was, in a way, the first time ever I experienced a rain in Scotland. Well, in Scotland you have a rain every day, almost every day, particularly in the summer, in the winter, and always wanted to test this rain as a Buddhist monk. I always wear a robe and then an overcoat, but always didn't have that experience of the rain. And on that day, when I was walking just after the Lina D, so not Lina D, called Pulaf D, and suddenly I experienced, there was a heavy storm and a heavy rain, and suddenly I was enjoying that rain, and I contemplate on that rain, and I was reflecting that rain, and as I was contemplating all the raindrops that was touching my bodies, and as I walk, I was getting difficulties. And that's gave me such a enjoyment. And then suddenly the word emerged in me, saying that it's a dance of the rain. And my heart was full of joy and happiness. and then I was enjoying every drop of water. And I was walking down alone, and it was so misty, so windy, so heavy rain, and all. I was just enjoying that. It's like I was dancing with the rain on top of the mountains, which is just after the Pool of D. And then as I was walking down, descending from that Kiangro mountain, I saw two person, a couple basically. A lady was not wearing anything much. She had only one layer of a cloth, and that was such a cold and such a rain. And I thought, how on earth they are walking up this mountain without any preparation? So, and I offered my jacket to her, and that is the moment I realized the teachings of the Buddha, that the very moment, if you've been practicing the focus meditation or one-pointed meditation, also known as samatha meditation, as you develop in the meditation and you attain certain states that brings you such a happiness and joy, and you such relief that time, and that time your mind will full of those love and compassion, and you just want to help. It's like a selfless help. You want to help. That just emerges in your mind. And at that time, the very moment when I saw her, and then she came to ask me that how far is the shelter, and I imagined that time a shelter, because I had walked from the Bothi to that area probably 2.5 hours, and now they want to go to the Bothi, and it's unlikely they can make it. It's getting dark, and heavy rain and wind and storm like that. And out of a sudden, I just wanted to give that cloth and the jacket. I gave it to her, and she was so happy, and the smile and this happiness that she expressed was like amazing. That the happiness was such amazing, and I never forget that smile. But I forgot them, and I didn't take any names or anything. But she told me that she will deposit my jacket in the tourist information in Aviemore and go and collect from there. So I went, and then the funny thing was, as a monk, you're not supposed to go into the pubs. You are not supposed to go in the pubs and then get the shelter. And on that day, what happened was I walked, and my whole body was just wet, and I couldn't set up a tent, and I just needed a place to stay. And I went B&B one after another, and those B&Bs were already full up, and I couldn't see any place to stay. And then there was a sign saying vacancies, and I went into that pub and then asked, is there a room? And then he said yes. And then how much? And I said, I think it was about £50, or 45 or 50 pounds at that time. And then my feeling was, I don't care what and where it is. All I needed was a warm place to stay. So I went into the pub and then got the place, and then I just dried my old clothes, and then I came out again from my room to get some warm drink. There was a couple of people having beers, and there was particular one man came up to me with a beer in his hand, and came, oh, where are you from? What you doing here? Something like that. Surprisingly, he didn't notice that you're talking to a monk. And then he offered a pint of a beer. Would you like to have a beer? And then I said, no, I'm okay. I just need a cup of tea. So like that, and then I stayed, and then I dried my clothes and my shoes, basically everything, and then I came back and I'm walking back. And as I came back later on, I went to university, and then I met one of the lecturers. He used to teach in divinity, and somehow I had a discussion with him and then talking about my tour through this Larry Groom, and he said that there was about 1980s, there was a couple walking from Brema, so Linn of D, Brema, Linn of D, towards this Aviemore on the way to Larry Groom. And before they arriving this pool of D, in the sky, they, because of the heavy rain, they wrote an article saying that they saw this female Buddha called Kuan Yin on the sky. And it was amazing, and the article, I didn't have a chance to read, and I didn't have a chance to copy that, but as I was told by the lecturer, saying that because of the foggy and the rain and storm, they were miserable, they were just feeling of lost, and somehow they lost their stamina or courage to continue walking. And somehow they just saw this figure in the sky and then gave them this courage and continue walking. And later they wrote this article and published saying that kind of a female Buddha saw on these mountains. And I thought, wonderful, interesting. But I never saw that. I've been walking Larry Grew almost every year, like that. But again, on that day, on my entertain with this rain and dance with the rain, when I came back, and I realized that members of a community at our center were so worried about me because they hear news saying that helicopter lifted a man who was injured in the mountains. And I presume this is a couple who came from, I think, Inverness, which I met on the way too. So one of them fell off because of the storm, and helicopter lifted and admitted in the hospital. So the members thought that was me. And it was quite interesting. So like that, and you never know what's going to happen, but the best thing in the best is just enjoy. And even yesterday I didn't have a thought of going, and I was just contemplating on should I go, should I not, and that's simply because of so many other responsibilities on my shoulder, and also feeling of guilty, and that we have Ajahn Pira who is always working, and I do not want him to feel that he's left behind, and I just go away like that. So I always say no along with other duties. But yesterday, somehow I was like, been indoors so much. I enjoy walking a lot, I love to be in the mountains, like that. And then yesterday, while I was meditating, should I go, should I not, like that. And then once I thought that, okay, I should go, and it was like, oh wow, okay, gone. And then I had a fear, because throughout the year I didn't have any walkings in the mountains, and I had a fear that I may not be able to walk longer. But this fear, as it was hitting my mind, I told to myself that it's okay, one step at a time. Doesn't matter how far you can go, just go and you can come back again. So with that, I just continued walking, and I walked and I walked, and gradually I felt like you can. So that's why in our life, sometimes something that comes, or our life may be disappointed, or life you want to do something but you can't do because of some reasons or because of some health conditions. In those situations, all what you need is this courage, positive thinking. Do not be discouraged. Do not be thinking that I can't do and you should stay. Just think that you can, and then doesn't mean that you have to fulfill. Doesn't matter how long you can do, just do it, but do not leave it. Like my father, when I was very young, my father used to tell me all the time that if you can't work all day, work at least half a day. Because my father was a farmer and we were very poor farmers, and we have to work in the field much of the time. And so my father always told me that do not stop working, but do as long as you can, and do not think that you have to finish it, but do not give up. So with that, yesterday I continued that, and then I walked, and at the end of the day I was able to walk along with the group, because yesterday's our group led by Thantita Dhammo, they have been walking every week, walking whole day every week, and I was like an apprentice, never walked throughout this year, and somehow just went to join. So that's why in our life, sometimes if you find difficulties, take your time and think that you're not going to give up, but see how long you can do. And along the way, if that's enough, then that's enough. You just stop. And you will have no guilty of not doing. You will have no regrets that you haven't tried. And you will be overcome from that. So that's why, and then even the president of America, one of the presidents said, fear about the fear itself. And that is exactly true. The very moment when you are, when you able to recognize that fear that is hindering your courage, hindering that step to go on, then you have already achieved success. Because every success starts from the first step. The very moment when you start first step, you already closer first step. But if you haven't tried any steps and you're just thinking, oh, if I do this, how I'm going to be, if I do this, what going to be, if I don't do, what is going to be, all your thinking in your head doesn't make any sense. You have to put your thought into the practice. I remember when I was in Thailand, one of my teachers told me, at that time I was so worried and then always thought about the temple in Nepal after my teacher died. Always think about and going back to Nepal and then helping. And then he said, if you want to go and work in Nepal, go and think about the plants there, not living in Thailand. Like that. So that's similar. In our life, you have to work. You have to start walking. Every step that you put forward, that is taking closer to the destiny. But if you are not walking at all, then if you're just thinking in your head, then basically it will make you mental, make you more anxious, make you more stress, depression, and you will look everything negative, and everything is problem, everything is just problem, and you become such simply troubled, and you always think that this is your responsibility that you have to do, this is your responsibility that you cannot fulfill, and as a result you become stressed. And when you become stressed, not only that is affecting your physical body, not only that is affecting your mental state, but also that you are channeling this negative vibration towards other family members. And not only that vibration you are sending to the family members, but also that expanding to the rest of other communities, whoever comes to contact with you. So that's why it is very, very important that it is not just a thinking, we have to act. And every action that we take, basically we are overcoming our fear and then taking every action towards the success. When we look at the life of the Buddha, and some people ask me that why Buddha, there are during the time of the Buddha, there are so many people enlightened, and some people even didn't have any knowledge or any education, and yet having heard and only once they become enlightened. How it comes? Whereas we have been studying day and night every year, for many years on a Buddha's philosophy, but we haven't understood. We still become angry, we still become upset, and we still become so obsessed, and we haven't realized the suffering. We can't let go of things. How come? And that's simply the reason behind is that whoever have attained this enlightenment, they have worked so hard in the previous lives, and they have collected little by little, focusing on the accumulation of good things over these many eons of lives. But their agenda is simply to overcome this fear and continue working towards the enlightenment. And we also should have that motivation that I may not be able to fully dedicate myself towards the study, towards the practice, and may not be able to be fully devout in this practice, but at least I will spare some time and practice along the way. And with this, as you are working on that, you are accumulating this strength and courage, and basically you are transforming your slept consciousness to awake, an ability to improve yourself. Because Buddhism is not about blindly accepting things. It's about challenge. It's about giving you an opportunity to think about it. And this is, we can't see it with the knowledge, and that's because we are influenced by this ignorance and greed. Our identity that we want to establish, that I have done this and this belongs to me, I have done that and I have made this much effort to build this one, and this is my house, this is my car, and so and so. And with that, we again blindly accepting that these are permanent. And if not that permanent, again, at least we have this sense of a belongings that I have made this and I have made that. We have attached on with it. And with that, we're blindly taking it as a permanent truth. And not only that, taking it as a permanent truth, we believe in that way. But Buddhism challenges us not to take it simply that it is in a conceptual world, in a conceptual way. we have to use our wisdom to see this ignorance, to see how much we've been caught up, that how much we are attached to our own self and having this misconception that my life is eternal. And because of this life and a thinking of eternity, we caught up into this avidya, or so-called ignorance and attachment to the things, and not able to let go, and we harbor so much negativities and can't accept the reality as such. So but the practice of a meditation or practice of this teachings of the Buddha helps us to realize that we are living in a blind world. We have to see that through our experience and overcoming all these obstacles. And it helps us to it helps us to live in the present moment, living in the moment, which overcoming the fear and also encouraging us to step one at a time, but steady, smoothly, firmly walking into this path. And not only the path, spiritual path, but it's also in our lives. Doesn't matter what the problem is, which I normally refer and normally tell to everyone, that we are not free from the problems. So that's why, according to Buddha's teachings, it is not what you have the problem, it is how you're going to solve the problem. So that's why the teachings of the Buddha is a way to solve the problem. How is the most crucial, and the dealing with the how is to walk on the path. It doesn't matter how fast you're walking, whether that's a slow or a fast. It's up to you how much strength and confidence you have, and with that you will be able to attain the success in your life. So thank you everyone. So I end tonight's reflection here, and just the here and there. There is no fixed topic, or there is no any premeditated subjects. I just talk as I come along. Okay, I hope that you enjoy, and thank you everyone for listening, and may you all be well and happy, and stay safe, take care. And in a few moments time we're going to have a chanting and guided meditation. You are most welcome to join with us. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can text me too, which I haven't done for many months, and if you have any questions, just drop me. So until then, may you all be well and happy, take care, and good night, and see you shortly. Thank you. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. Sadhu.